Hello and welcome to Dinis Guarda Cities ABC Open Business Council series and our series of interviews and profiles with global thought leaders, industry, uh, I would say shakers and movers, but as well people changing the world, especially people that come from backgrounds of technology, innovation, digital, but as well founders, creators, influencers, and people changing the world. So today we have with us someone that actually I'm quite curious and as well very excited to interview. So Eloise Marchesoni, that is actually joining us from New York, from a very iconic location in New York. So I will just go. So Eloise is one of the youngest blockchain, global, and crypto influencers, and she's been a thought leader since the young age of around 18 when she started becoming a position in these areas, which she was quite radical. So she's still very young, but it's as well someone that's been between the areas of blockchain, crypto, as I mentioned, AI, DeFi, and NFTs, both as an influential author of articles as major national and international newspapers, but as well looking at different areas of innovation around these fast-growing changes in society. She's the Europe #1 token model architect, and we're going to be talking about that, as stated by Irish Tech News. And she's been as well in a lot of lists of the top 100 leaders and influencers, both in Italy and in the US as well, and as well touching FinTech. And she's been very involved as well in the startup ecosystem, both in the US and Italy, but in Europe and international. And she's been established herself as a successful business lady and influencer, and as a role model for a lot of aspiring entrepreneurs in the digital industry. In the last two quarters of 2019 and as well 2020 and 2021, she was as well nominated in a lot of outlets #1 blockchain influencer, and as well she's been speaking in a lot of these industry events. So right now, a lot of virtual like this one since COVID, but as well creating a lot of different things that are changing the areas and reflecting what is going on, especially in these areas of the fourth industrial revolution. So welcome to our series, Eloise.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me. Grazie.
No, it's a pleasure. The pleasure is all mine. So, Eloise, I want to start by, so it's still very young, but I would like I always like to go to education and a bit of background. And in your case, it's particularly interesting because, of course, you grew up between the US and Italy and Europe, and as well traveling quite a lot. But I would like to see how did you start getting into technology, getting into the entrepreneurial world, and in these areas of blockchain and crypto and AI and fintech.
Yeah. So I have been, what I like to define an A plus, a straight A plus student, all my life, until, when I was 18, and I had started college. I was going to the equivalent of an American Ivy League university in Italy, which is Bocconi University. I found myself um, being on the books, studying something like 10 to 12 hours a day. It was just crazy. And I felt like when looking through my LinkedIn and through my Facebook, I was missing out on a whole new trend, which was that of startups and this entrepreneurship mindset of the young people like me. And so, I decided that it was time to make myself more of a 360-degree A plus student. So not just focusing on the books and on the exams, but also focusing on another kind of challenge, which was a bit more, a bit more pragmatic approach in the job world, and I wanted to get myself a head start on it before everyone else. So I cut down a little bit on the hours of studying, and so I had to go to some events and startup weekends and hackathons that were going on around the area of Milan where I was studying at the time. And gathered a group of friends that were on my same train of thought, and we started attending these events together. And that's where actually I heard about blockchain, about crypto the first time, because um, having been in many startups during that time, a lot of which, of course, have failed because that's how startups work. I noticed that there was this trend of disruption, and that somehow my role in every startup was that of of somehow giving a economic overlook to the model of these startups that were mostly based on blockchain and tokens. And what I was doing was actually applying the economic models that I had been studying, that I was still studying in university, not just in the exams in class, but also in these projects. And that was the perfect asset for someone like me that wanted in the medium term to become an advisor to many startups at once. So possibly detaching myself from the verticality of each and every startup that I was encountering through my my hackathon and startup event, let's say, roadmap. And so I decided to go look around for who was already doing this advisory job in the world, and that's when I didn't hesitate, and I actually contacted them the first time. And the first person that I came in touch with was Giacomo Arcaro, who is to this day my main business partner, and that's where everything started. He showed me the ropes of the industry and got me into some advisory gigs at the time, and that's also how the role of the token model architect was created. And I'm saying created because before my intervention in the crypto scene, this role was non-existent, and the necessity of actually trying to map it out, and also to explain it to the media, was particularly felt by Giacomo, who was trying to introduce me as an advisor. But while his role was very, very clear to the industry as the growth hacker, mine was a bit, very horizontal in the projects, more between the management and the financial expertise. And so we said, okay, let's call it like that. And what it basically is the engineering of token-based economic ecosystems, taking care of the microeconomic and macroeconomic aspects of the issuance of a new token, just like I was used to do in my projects in university, when we had to sort of emulate the offering of a new currency in a country. And that's exactly what it is, when you are offering a new token, may it be payment utility, security, or even a decentralized finance token or a non-fungible. So that's how it all, I started traveling like crazy. I left my home in Milan. I kept on studying while abroad, and then I would just come back to Milan to do the exams. So I started out that I was the A+ student, just studying the whole time, and then university really became my second job and second priority.
Well, impressive, and as well impressive as well, especially starting so early, because we're talking about you're still finishing even before university and you start on this. So I want to touch that because, of course, as a young uh, personality, I think a lot of the people in the blockchain industry are a bit older, or actually much older. And you have like kind of course, in the blockchain industry, we have blockchain technologists, we have crypto, we have traders, there's speculators. There's a lot of different personalities. So we went through the ICO waves and a lot of different waves. So how do you see these waves that you've been seeing, especially being quite from a young generation? Because you see this much more digital, but as well you see it in a more pragmatic world way that probably other people that are older and have been having more different variations in technology. So I would like to touch that part before we go more deep into blockchain and DeFi.
Yeah. So, I'm actually glad to say that I have been through it all, every bubble and every bubble explosion. And the only way that I was able to do it is, of course, by filtering only the best projects, even when I was taking up clients. And also, I had, especially during 2017, 18, when everybody was so crazy about coin offerings, everybody wanted a token and was coming to me, can you please do my token economics, token model? And to a lot of them, I would just say, you really do not need the token, so just stay out of it because it would hurt. So that's been my approach up to this day. I don't do things just, I, of course, I have a profit oriented mindset, but on top of that, I have not only strong ethics, but my first priority in the end is the market, because I am a token model architect, I'm an advisor, but I am, um, an investor, and I have a big capital invested in crypto myself, and I talk with investment funds and so on. So my top priority is actually keeping the market alive and healthy, because if it is so, then everyone can thrive. Um, and but not everyone, of course, is on the same train of thought, and a lot of the people in crypto are, I feel like, punks that were not really able, to fit into the traditional world. And um, what Satoshi Nakamoto, this mysterious person or group of people, did was basically ignite this CryptoPunk movement, but it's more of a movement. And the people that got into it, a lot of them are very short-sighted, narrow-sighted, and they just see their own portfolio and their own profit in the next, not even 3 weeks, but 1 week. So, and they will do anything. Experts like myself are here to try and control this. It's not that these people are bad at all. This happens in every financial market. And crypto is actually very fun because so much fun because, for supporters like myself of what we call in economics behavioral finance, this is actually a very nice sandbox and playground to test every model and every prediction. So experts like myself are here to sort of, keep it under control and try to have a point of view that's not biased, and that's sort of, super partes, as you would say in Latin. So it's that's what I think. And I think that I don't even I like that there are a lot of waves and hype trends back to back almost, because in 3 years we've had so many. And I like it because it shows how fast this industry moves. It shows how much interest the people that are in it find new solutions and test them, because that's what it is. And I feel like that every bubble, once it pops, it's not just killed. It just becomes more stabilized, and the lessons learned are what really then become the basics of the progress of disruption.
And I think that the disruption is just in the early days, although, like you said, in the last three years, we had a lot of waves, a lot of disruption, and we continue having it. So that brings me to, so I want to touch a bit more the token model architect. And I think the token model architect, of course, was you build it when you were actually focused more on the ICO, at the time, the wave of the ICOs. Now it's slightly different, but in some ways, the wave of ICOs, and I think especially the token model architect, is very relevant for everything happening in DeFi, decentralized finance, and as well for NFTs. So could you tell us a bit how you build the token model architecture, and how do you look at the token models and the ecosystem that was created, and a bit of the token lifestyle? I think this is particularly interesting for people that are interested in blockchain, because of course we have right now security tokens, utility tokens, we have the non-fungible tokens, but a lot of different things are still happening, and the concept, and there's a lot of the structure is still, the foundations are still there.
Yeah. So the token model architecture is basically 3 steps, and they're the following: the discovery phase, the design phase, and the deployment phase. And the discovery phase is basically when, a project comes up to me and tells me that they think they might need a token, and shows to me their current business plan and exactly what their projected roadmap is, what their final vision is, and what their mission is as well. And we try to understand together if and when a token is needed, and exactly, or not exactly yet, but at least get an idea of what kind of token, at least the generic classification of tokens. So whether it is the payment utility security, or a DeFi token, or even a non-fungible token, because now they're hyped, but NFTs have been there since the beginning. And then we go through the design phase, which is basically mapping the actors involved, and the drivers of value creation, and the flow of value among these actors, how it will be created and shared, because that's what blockchain is for. And then I sort of become the interface between what I call the market layer, which is what Giacomo takes care of with his growth hacking and unconventional marketing, and the ledger layer, which is what the developers take care of. Because a lot of the ICOs popped, a lot of projects failed because either they had a lot of technology, no marketing, or everything was just marketing and they had no product. And that's what we do. And then, in the end, we come up with what I call a minimum viable ecosystem, which is the first maybe 5 or 6 actors that you want to involve to test your ecosystem, and then also mapping out together how this MVE will evolve during the roadmap, bringing in all the other actors, not by directly asking them if possible, but by sort of forcing them to come into the token ecosystem by igniting the FOMO in them, or if not the FOMO, at least, the feeling that if they're not coming into the ecosystem, adopting the token, they will be missing out. And then they'll have to sort of evaluate the opportunity cost of missing out on the project. And then, of course, still during the design phase, we come up with all the economic models, which are usually made up of just simple math, but usually it's mostly statistics and, regression lines, and sometimes even stochastic when you need to bring into consideration the time factor, which is like another dimension to make the predictions. And then last phase is the deployment, which now that everyone is not just using blockchain, but finally using blockchain integrated with AI, big data, etc., it has become much easier because it's possible to build algorithms that are usually, if not AI, at least machine learning based, and that can auto correct themselves when there's a single point of failure in the token-based ecosystem. Because blockchain is so cool. Why? Of course, for the transparency and the decentralization, but from a corporate point of view, it's amazing because you cannot counterfeit it, and you can find single points of failure when there's a problem, and you can find them very quickly because everything is incontrovertibly just timestamped on the blockchain. So that's that basically. And from this explanation, which I hope was easy enough, it's easy to understand for sure, at least, that it's something that you can apply to a lot of projects in all of these trends that we have been seeing. So it's it's a basics, it's the economics basics that every token needs to follow in order to not fail on the market. And that's what I'm doing now for DeFi projects and for NFT projects as well, even though, of course, we have been working much more on the marketing and growth hacking side of things.
Amazing. So I want to touch precisely on the growth hacking, but before that, I want to touch. So as someone that, like you mentioned, have been putting most of your wealth in crypto, and you've been as well seeing the wave. So especially in 2021, it show a completely explosive way of crypto, and especially in Bitcoin and Ether, but as well in all the DeFi coins. So on the crypto inside, especially on the coins and the crypto trading, what were your views, especially because you've been advising and speaking a lot of events on this area? So you think it's going to continue growing? You think you're going to have a crash? Of course, I'm not so much on the speculative part because it's not the what I'm interested in our podcast, and I think there's a lot of other podcasts just focus on that, and a lot
Yeah.
of things. I'm more interested in the profile, but I would like to hear your views, especially like you mentioned, you've been on this. Although you're quite young, since the beginning, at least 3-4 years, that are the main points on this, and you saw a lot of things. But as well, the last, even I think for people like us that have been on this since the beginning, it's still overwhelming. So I would like to hear your views, and as well, you are based in close to Wall Street. You have as well touched that area. So how do you see these bridges that we're seeing right now?
Yeah. So as you said, it's been a short time, but I've been able to go from just studying in university in Milan and to living here in New York City in Trump Tower, just a couple of floors below Donald Trump. So a lot has happened, and a lot of that was thanks to crypto, not just from the advisory, the token economics and the growth hacking, but a lot from also managing my wealth correctly in crypto. And I've the way I have it is, of course, diversified in the classic coins, which I don't really speculate too much on. I have my BTC, my Ether, and those are just I just keep in my wallet, and I don't really go nuts if they go down by 30%. I'm fine with that. I know they'll keep on growing eventually. What I really focus on now for high risk speculation, which I like, it's the DeFi coins and the NFTs, but especially the DeFi coins. I see the NFTs as a very interesting trend. But you know, they're not they're not purely financial. There's a lot of it that's about sentiment, and a lot of it that's tied to whoever is the issuer. So I see it more like like the art market. So there's it's nothing really new. It's new the way we're doing it because it's with blockchain, because it's decentralized, because it's fractionalized. But the way it's valued, it's basically the same thing. I was already buying the collector, the collectible shoes on StockX, and it's the same thing. What I really focus on, and what I really like to speak about, is the DeFi coins, because those are, they're crazy. They're, I feel like to this day there's still not a very good predictive model to understand how they change their value over time, and to predict the volatility in the best way. But we are coming to that for sure. I know that they will keep growing. Just yesterday, or a couple days ago, the analyst said that altcoin season has just started, when we thought that it had already started. And if it had just started a couple days ago, then I wonder how it's gonna end up. It's gonna be huge. But it's what's really hard is to determine the good coins in the ecosystem. And I've tried a lot on my own, with my own money. Of course, I've lost and I've gained, and now most of the time I'm gaining. And there's certain parameters that I look at, and that I try to educate my followers to look at. And it's, of course, the low capitalization, the good marketing, by which we mean, not anymore the Instagram post or Facebook page with a lot of likes, but rather that they are big and active on Telegram, on Discord, on the same channels where the Wall Street Bets phenomenon has taken place. Because in the end, it's the same thing. And I've started offering guidance to my followers, and Giacomo is doing the same, because um, you know being experts in the field, we've seen a lot of people lose their money to DeFi, and it's not good, because in the end, what we want is mass adoption. And when people lose their money to some coins, of course they will link the loss of money to not that coin specifically, but to the whole crypto world. Then they don't want to hear anything about it, and they make bad posts all around, and whatever. So part of what we do to help the market, and in the end help ourselves, is also to keep the hype up and the sentiment good, so that everyone can benefit. Because in DeFi, what we've been seeing is a lot of pump and dump actions. And of course, we're going to see it because it's not illegal in DeFi, right? DeFi is not regulated, so you can pump and dump and basically, orchestrate the market as you wish. But it's really dangerous. So, once you understand these things, then I'd say it becomes easy. Not to mention the the hard technicalities when trying to buy or sell, because that's still hard even for me. But then choosing the coin, what to buy, what to sell is pretty easy once you get the hang of it. And that's why I encourage all the followers that we have every time to reach out to us and ask.
I think you made very good points, and I think this is my next question is precisely about that. So when you talk about blockchain, we talk a lot about, of course, the encryption, the solutions around the nodes and the smart contracts. But one of the key things is game theory and behavioral economics, especially when it comes to the tokens, to all this crypto that we've been talking, and of course all the tools that come on that. So DeFi and NFT in particular are, especially the markets around these two major concepts, are really becoming massive in this area. So I want to touch a bit this because, of course, as someone much younger that normally most of the people I interview, one of the things that I'm interested to hear is about especially the areas of game theory and behavioral economics, because you mentioned growth hacking as well, and how you bridge these things, especially looking at both your side. Let's say I think there's three areas that I see. You have your area as a trader, your area as an influencer, and your area as a strategist, and as well involved in business and business leader. So how do you look at these three things and how you see the industry in general?
Yeah, so growth hacking um, really comes natural as a natural consequence to what I said um, about keeping, making sure that with a good token economics and a good game theory strategy, you are incentivizing the token holders in the right way. And you do that with the token, because the token, that's what it does. It's basically incentivizing the holders to create and share the value among them and with the outside world in the right way. That's what it is, and hindering bad interactions. Growth hacking comes on top of that, because what it is basically the leveraging of hype, of specific sentiment trends to reach specific goals that are within the strategy that's been set up by the founders of the project and whoever's taking care of the token economics. So growth hacking is part of the how you do stuff. Token economics is part of the what you do. So that's it. That's why they're different, but in the same way, but in this at the same time, both necessary one to another. And growth hacking, what it is just unconventional marketing techniques. So if we have planned that we need to reach a certain amount of users in a Telegram group, because we need that to I don't know, like airdrop some tokens, then the way you do it is through growth hacking, which means that with ethical hacking techniques, you end up with a massive database, and we always have those, coming in fresh. Then you use the data in the database, which are usually, email addresses and things like that, to do, I don't know, maybe the email marketing, or you could even do the WhatsApp or Telegram marketing, but with some little very smart hacks that make sure that your message does not go into the spam folder, to make sure that it communicates the right value to the user that you're targeting without being perceived as pure email marketing, or WhatsApp, Telegram marketing. And then you'd bring the users into the funnel, and then in the end, maybe in your Telegram channel where you're airdropping the tokens, which is just one step in the token economics. So that's how it all goes together. And one big part that I even use on myself, and that I've learned from Giacomo, of course, is the media and the personal branding. And that's something that we do, and that's really big, because in the end, when people buy a token, they're not really buying into the project or into the token economics. They're buying the idea that the project founders are communicating. That's what it is. When I used to have a Tesla, and when I was in my Model X, I was thinking about Elon Musk. I wasn't really thinking about Tesla, the company. So that's how it works, and that's the same thing that we do on ourselves. And that is exactly why you mentioned I'm an influencer, and Giacomo is too. That's exactly why we became that, because we have a company, and we generate leads and prospect clients for ourselves, of course. And the way we do it is indirectly through this virtuous cycle of being an influencer, communicating value that's perceived, and then having people just naturally, come up to us.
I think that is particularly relevant because it's the two areas that touch. So I know that we are limited time, so I want to three more questions. So one is about DeFi. So the DeFi crypto market in particular is at the moment, as we speak, $93 billion, which is 11% increase just since yesterday, for instance. So can you tell us, how do you see? You touched a bit of DeFi, especially in the areas of course, that is not regulated, is highly speculative right now, but there's a lot of great things coming out of DeFi, a lot of fantastic projects, a lot of technology. For instance, right now, even Amazon is working in some DeFi concepts, especially on the technology side, because there's the crypto trading part, but as well, there's the decentralized finances technology solution. So I know that you've been involved in a couple of projects. I don't know if you want to highlight at least some of the solutions, some of the things that you want to talk about it.
Yeah, of course. So um the way that, what we've done mostly for DeFi projects is the marketing, because by now, because these projects in DeFi are mostly made up by really real hardcore developers. So the token economics is much easier, whereas the marketing is much harder for them to do, and that needs to be filled up 100% most of the time. And then one big part of our job was, of course, the the market watch after the launch of the token, to make sure that the trend is stable, and also helping the projects to to encash some of their own profits, because that's something that, of course, every founder of any project wants to do, but it has to be done the right way, not to hurt the market. So hopefully, more and more projects are going to keep an eye on the stability of their tokens as well in the next few weeks. But as far as interesting projects, there's just a myriad, and they're interesting more from a technology point of view than from a actual real life usage point of view, because as I see it now, it is a very utopian world that these coins are depicting, and it that I feel like it's pretty far from actually becoming a reality. Just looking at how hard it is to even buy one coin from Coinbase wallet by connecting to Uniswap, whatever. It's something that maybe you and I can do, but a lot of people, most of people cannot. I really find interesting the coins that um, have their main scope in the purely transactional fields, which is which are those coins that either lower the fees, or are to be used towards a higher capacity of transaction, etc., etc. So those are the ones that I feel like are the best, if you want to spend some time on some DeFi project website and read all about their mission and vision. But the others, they're just they're there, and they're interesting because they have very active communities, but uh when speaking about real life usage, I feel like that's really far still from happening. But as I said, the experts said that the altcoin season has just started a couple days ago, so I'm sure in some months, maybe even the whole buying and selling process of these tokens, the whole yield farming will become hopefully easier, and everyone will be able to jump into the trend and make it a reality, not just not just a hype trend. So that's that. And I believe strongly still in, I do believe that though DeFi is going to help Ether a lot to grow in value, but also in adoption. And at least Ether is coming out a lot in the media. A lot of the banks and institutions and financial institutions are jumping on the Ether train, and also using stable coins. So that's a thing that I love. And personally with Giacomo, we are working on a project that is going to be the only stable coin pegged to euro. And the banks will use it. Kraken will list it shortly, so that's really exciting. And if it wasn't for DeFi, that has been also inspiring the Ethereum team to come out with the 2.0 and then eventually the 3.0 versions with lower fees and higher transaction speed, then we wouldn't even be able to pitch it to the institutions that had always been finding limitations in it, especially when it came to fees and transaction speed and capacity.
Important. I think this is kind of probably the challenge that you're going to see, but as well the opportunity related with all these different areas. And I think especially this brings me to the last question that I have here. So with NFTs, we've been seeing an explosive, I think it's probably the biggest, if you search right now into Google Trends, I think NFTs are bigger than even ICOs. And in terms of outreach, it's right now completely mainstream, especially with the likes. Actually, Damon Usk right now is doing his own NFT. So we have global part. But one of the things that I'm interested to talk with you is, as an influencer, of course, you've been building your personal brand, engaging with social media and having all the different channels, but as well creating different revenue streams that in your case is through marketing that you do, is through trading and so forth. So how do you see the NFTs to empower artists, influencers, collectives and a lot of different things? And of course, all the explosive growth around that of course will need much more work.
Yeah, so NFTs are really cool because, as I said, concept is not really, it's whatever we've been doing in art up until now. But the cool thing is that, it's now a whole new way of doing what we've been doing in art until now, because it's democratic, it's for everyone, and it brings in a lot of the influencers out there, and it leverages social media in a way that we haven't seen before. And people in throughout history have been at first meeting in maybe the town square, speaking about what was hot in the market, in commerce, and where to invest, etc. Then they have been meeting in the stock exchanges, or maybe in elite clubs, like we have even still in here in New York City. But now they are meeting in on social media, and our news feed has basically become the new town square, where you just come out and say your opinion, and with the filters you're able to know what is the hottest trend, and that's where to go if you have some money to invest. So that's why it's cool, and NFTs are totally leveraging that. They're based on that concept. It's a bit risky that we're using social media now, because as we know, social media are not decentralized, and it's basically like whenever you open your Instagram, your Twitter, you're in your own bubble, listening to the people that the algorithm is suggesting. So we're gonna have to work on the management of big data and of privacy, and on how we filter information for ourselves. So I guess it's up to us, if we wanna be, winners in the markets, not just to open Instagram and Twitter and look for the hottest searches, but also to become much more educated and self-educating, um, uh, mm, ourselves through using internet, doing a lot more research, and confronting ourselves with the others across all platforms, which it's funny and actually not a coincidence that it happened during lockdown, because now we have more time even to do so. And everyone is has their capital stuck in their accounts, and wants to have some fun with it, and wants to also put it at work. So we are shifting towards an economy where passive income is going to become a big chunk of individual per capita income at every and each level, not just anymore the elites like it has been until now. So that's what I think. Influencers are becoming very central, very important. We have seen DeFi coins, NFTs pump just because an influencer decided to tweet about them, and they are charging, crazy prices. Elon Musk charges about 20 million per tweet. And then we have Cardi B, we have, Snoop Dogg. They used to charge like not even 100K. And then after what happened with Dogecoin, of course, now they're charging around $1 million. So you see how much an influencer is can make the difference for these projects.
Wow, I didn't know that one about Elon Musk.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a special one. Special being a public company guy. That's an
Yeah, I
interesting one.
mean, I don't know. I know this because I have 1 degree of separation with him. Right now, he's in Texas, but yes, he has a big public company. I feel like he doesn't really care about sharing this. He's not fearful of institutions, and actually, what he's done with the
Yeah.
whole Dogecoin pump and the Bitcoin, saying that mm, he's gonna accept Bitcoin as a payment and just not even convert it. It's actually a huge challenge to even the New York Stock Exchange where he's listed, because at once the companies used to be really scared of the stock exchanges and the due diligence that they would do on their accounts. But right now, Elon Musk is literally saying, I do not give, a flying beep about it, come at me.
No, that's an impressive, and I think it's interesting you mentioned that. I respect you more because I think it's something no one says, but I think it's kind of he is probably one. Well, of course, he is quite wealthy to pay the court trials and actually all the legal suits that he has been getting in the past. But at the
Yeah.
same time, it's been, yeah, it's he is in a very special spot, because what he's been doing is, in one end, breaking all the rules, in
Yeah.
other end, highlighting and of course making crypto much more mainstream, of course. But well, I know that you have limited time. You actually got me a lot of ideas and questions, but I will. We might do a live or something like that. But well, I know, giving your time. So I think you just want to touch, because you touch right now New York Stock Exchange. I know that you've been doing some initiatives with Wall Street,
Oh, yeah.
and I think it's good that two things relate, because I think, like you mentioned, the more we have credibility in the industry, everyone wins, because we want this not to be just some game of crazy people, but we want to make this to be really value creation.
Yeah, of course. And it's actually something that I wanted to mention with regards to NFTs, because Giacomo Arcaro and I, we went to Wall Street just last Friday, and we did what we call some street startup funding, micro loans from 0.01 to 1 Ether for the unhoused people, maybe people that have lost their jobs with COVID. And so we set up our posters and our little booth. You can find a lot of articles online if you look up, growth hacker uses crypto to fund the unhoused, stuff like that. And at first these people were very reluctant. We had to make them understand this whole concept of intangible money, had them download the app. Luckily, a lot of them have a smartphone nowadays. And then we just listened to interesting ideas, to maybe the guy that had to buy his mic set for singing on the street, or there was a lady that wanted a whole trash picker and cart to pick up the cans and bottles and then return them to the grocery store in exchange for money. And we selected the best ones, and of course the people that seemed the more trustworthy. We didn't want them to spend the money in the dark web or whatever. And of course we're going to go back on the streets to see if these people are doing well, and maybe checking on them. And then we're going to repeat this experiment for sure in cities like San Francisco, Miami, and then around the world when, of course, we're able to travel again. And I mentioned NFTs because these posters, they became pretty viral because of the whole media attention that we've been getting. And, this is a spoiler alert, but we are most likely going to make NFTs out of the posters, and sell them on specific platforms. But so watch out for that. It's coming up.
Oh, fantastic, and congratulations. I think it's a great idea, and I think it's a great idea as well to bridge both from an initiative but as well activist perspective.
Yeah.
So Eloise, thank you so much for your time. I know that you have something after this, so we'll put all the links to you. I don't know if you want to just highlight some of your links in social where people can find you. Of course, you are quite social, but I think it's always good to come from you.
Actually, one last thing I want to add. I was on Instagram, pretty popular. A lot of people asking for advice. Then my Instagram disappeared, and I still need to understand why. But it happened when I started talking a lot, like really, really heavily about crypto, and they told me I was going against some community guidelines, and then they told me it was a mistake. They would have been able to log back in, but no progress has been seen. So, I've been talking to the media about that sort of crypto ban as well. Now I'm back with a new handle, and it's at Eloisa_Marchesoni_real. Because I've also been getting, of course, a lot of fakes while I was not on there. And hopefully I'll get my blue badge once I grow back my account, which is going to be painful, but I'm counting on the support of the community. So please go and follow. And then I'm on Facebook and LinkedIn just under my name, Eloisa Marchesoni, pretty easy.
Now we'll put all these links, and I appreciate, and I know that Instagram has been quite tricky. They're not they're good taking, and I saw a couple of people that had problems with this. So good luck for that. It's not an easy thing, and I think really it's a bit a contradiction being Facebook or creating their own crypto coin. But
I know
that's the challenge. So good luck, and thank you so much, Eloise. I'm sure that you're going to come back to discuss a lot of these things, or in a panel, or in some events. But I appreciate your time, and we're going to put this and promote as well, and very good views. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.